What's up, Rockstars? Today I'm going to be talking about this will be a quick video about CMON and some stuff that's been happening there, some big events, as well as at least a few minor updates on Kickstarter. Especially if you backed one of these games, you're definitely going to want to make a decision about what I'm going to talk about right after this video before you forget, so you don't put it off or anything like that. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, now full disclosure here, and this is going to be like almost vlog worthy, but I'm just going to kind of explain this video. So this is a smaller video than I normally do, but it's still an important one. I just got back from watching Tenet. Great, by the way. My brain's confused a little bit, but fantastic movie. I've had a busy day. Had a long work day. Worked until about 8. My movie was at 9:30, and I went out with my wife, and it was nice to finally get out and kind of go on a real date, right? Suffice it to say, it's after midnight and it's after 2 now. So this is late in the making. I didn't have time to finish editing my other video. Like, it's almost done, but it's not quite there. So I have it all filmed and it's all kind of put in the project. It's not quite all put together. And so I'm doing this real quick because I can record it, I can get it to you, and it's a good information anyway. So that's kind of where I'm coming from with this. So please excuse me if I talk like it's 2 a.m. It's 2 a.m. But let's go ahead and get started on the CMON stuff and forget about all that kind of stuff. So, all right, moving on. This is pretty interesting. So, I don't know anybody else would be covering the the stock of CMON, but suffice it to say, this is actually very telling, I think, about kind of what they're trying to do. So, as you know, they had this nice downward trend until eventually they were kind of kicked off, right? So it definitely wasn't trending good. Now, I'm a simple man, and I see a downward slope, but other than that, I don't know much of what's going on here. Same with this stuff over here. What I will say is this stuff right here. This is the important part anyway. Essentially, all the stockholders or whatever, all the board of directors of CMON Limited, otherwise known as, I don't know why I just reloaded like that, otherwise known as the company, had some voting, and what they voted for was essentially this new auditor. So they want to essentially make this auditor their new auditor, and then this auditor to remove the remuneration, to actually make it to where, you know, they don't have a going concern or anything like that, and they can get back on the stock market. That's their end goal, which I think is probably a smart thing for the company to do. Well, okay, I prefer privately owned, not publicly owned, but that's because I prefer, you know, long-term, you know, intelligent business decisions and not short-term shareholder business decisions. But regardless of all that, that is kind of interesting to show, and it was 100% people voted for it. So literally there was a huge amount here. But anyway, they have now made this company has been appointed the new auditor of CMON. That's the company there. And they will be there just to like try and get rid of that issue that they had from their last auditor. And if you don't recall that, essentially their last auditors or auditor or whatever looked at kind of their books and noted that essentially they have an issue with the fact that they have so many outstanding Kickstarters, essentially. So on their books, when they have these outstanding Kickstarters, they pretty much put it as in like they owe that, like, to a creditor, until their delivery, and then it's kind of swapped into the other column, essentially. And so that was kind of their big issue there, is that they felt like their other auditor didn't understand their business, and I'm sure their other auditor, you know, would say, oh, we just don't think that's good. Essentially, the influx of profit from elsewhere, like retail, right, wasn't enough to encompass their what they needed to deliver in Kickstarter. So it looked like they may not have enough to pay it, right, because there's too much out here, too much out there. Now, CMON's saying that's just kind of a technicality on how they kind of add that as like a credit for their to delivery. But it was a great point for me, a great talking point for me to talk about how, you know, you need to make games, not campaigns. So when you make all these campaigns and you never deliver and you always delay, well, it just builds up into a mountain, and then suddenly it's 11 that need to be done, and then 15 that need to be done, and then 30, and then it never ends, except at some point it implodes. So they booted that auditor. He's no good, and they're bringing in this new auditor. the cynic in me assumes that the only reason they would ever make this big of a deal about it is if they were pretty sure that this person was going to undo it. I imagine that they discussed it over a nice lobster dinner and gifted them a new car or something like that. I don't know. Either way, we'll see how this goes. Maybe they'll get back on that Chinese stock market, maybe not. Either way, big news there for that, because I know that was kind of looming over their heads. So if they could get rid of that, I imagine they'll be quite happy in their new position. Okay, that being said, Eric Lang is leaving CMON. He quit. He put in his 2 weeks. He's out as of today, actually. He's no longer working at CMON as their kind of almost exec over game development. He was kind of the head honcho over there, which meant that he did a lot of managerial stuff, and worked with different teams and different stuff that wasn't necessarily his creation. So he was kind of like a co-author in a lot of stuff. And, when you get to a company that, and it's not like CMON's a huge company, but when you get to a position like that, that's a little bit more managerial, I can understand him wanting to go back to just creating games as a freelance. And he'll probably be working with CMON. He did before anyway, because they like his stuff and it sells well. So anyway, I can't blame him for stepping down, and I don't think it's anything... see, this is where my cynical side isn't quite there. I don't think he's seen the writings on the wall, and it's like an exec leaving and all that kind of stuff. Or if we see more, then maybe. But I believe him when when he says that he just wants to kind of focus on actually developing games. He did it for like 20 years beforehand. And so then to go from 20 years of being kind of just, I'm a game creator and I create games, and then kind of pitch it to companies, to I manage this game development team, that's a huge shift in what you do from day to day. And when you get into these companies like that, I mean, your day-to-day stuff is a lot of overhead and a lot of logistics and, stuff he didn't really have to worry about nearly as much. And so I imagine he'll be a lot happier. So I think that's great for him, and I'm glad to see that he can focus all of his time on game design so that we can get some good games. Because I feel a lot of times, especially when you work within a company, you're not freelance. When he's freelance, he gets to develop the game and then pitch it when he chooses, right? As opposed to, I work for them and they're wanting it, their deadline is this, and so I need to work on it until this. And to be honest, I felt before he joined CMON, he seemed so enthusiastic and awesome, and every time I saw him in an interview or playing a game or all that, he was just the chippest guy ever. I would have gamed with him any day. And I'm not saying that he necessarily lost that, but I felt like a lot of the stuff that he was having to do, he just kind of lost the, I want to say the love for it, but whatever that magical portion of that creation is. I remember seeing him on Trudvang Legends when he did kind of the gameplay with Michael Chanel, and he didn't seem as happy as he normally is. And working for a company and working in management stuff in the past, and can't blame him. So anyway, good for him. I think that's awesome. I think it's good news for us. I think it's good news for him. I'm happy with it. I don't know if you were expecting me to kind of like dog on this, but I'm not going to. I think it's a great thing. I am curious about what happens to his position. Do they put somebody else in there? Do they get rid of it? Are they ditching that idea of a kind of this head guy overall that has his hand in all these game developers and game development and that kind of stuff? I don't know. I guess we will see. When they do announce something, I'll let you guys know, and I will give you my 2 cents and then another cent on top of that, because why not? Okay, the other thing I wanted to note here is actually this right here at the bottom. Look at this. So, Eric's upcoming CMON games include tabletop adaptations of Cyberpunk 2077. Sounds cool. I don't know if it's going to be in time for the video game or not, so I don't know if it's going to happen after, or it'll be interesting to see what they're trying to do, but I would suspect that might actually be their next one, their next big one anyway, just because I know they're going to want to time that, though I don't know where Cyberpunk 27 is in their launch window. I know they delayed, so I'm not sure when exactly. A Blood Rage sequel. Now, this is kind of big news for me anyway. I was not aware of this. Personally, I have a little interest in it, but we'll see. I didn't even have interest in the Kickstarters, the new, like the digital one where they added more stuff. I love Blood Rage. Where is it at? It's right there. I love Blood Rage. One of my top games. I absolutely adore Blood Rage. That's the retail version, and I love it. I love that it's tight. I love that it's balanced. I love that it's quick. I love that it's easy. I love that you have like these kind of small systems, these very almost simplistic options, but then it's nuanced in how they interact with each other. That's literally the thing I love in board games. I love the drafting, I love the card combat, and the deterministic thing, the area control, the map getting smaller. All of it's great. The missions you can go on, fantastic. Do I want to add more options for monsters so it takes longer to pick one or something like that? Or what? No, I haven't felt the need. More often than not, Kickstarter exclusives, in my experience with CMON, ruin the balance anyway because they have to be desirable, so you want them, and so they're these overpowered, ridiculous things. I like this one. I'm keeping that. Do I want a whole sequel full of new stuff? Again, I don't know. I mean, maybe they improve it. I'm not sure. I'm super happy with Blood Rage, though, and I don't really feel the need. It's not like a dungeon crawler where you get more like scenarios and story and content and characters and stuff like that, right? These kind of area control dudes on a map style games like Rising Sun or Blood Rage don't really benefit as much from that kind of stuff. So do I want more stuff to put in it? No. In fact, I love that it's only one box. So I guess we will see. We will see. But either way, that's huge news. I can't blame them. I think it's one of their better retail worthy games that have done well in retail. It did well on Kickstarter. Every time it's done there, I imagine it'll do good again. I'm just not super into it, at least not yet. And a family game co-designed by Mike Elliott, codenamed Barge. And then more than a dozen other projects. I'm assuming some of the others include the God of War miniature game that I'm sure they're going to do, just like Bloodborne. They did the card game, and then they'll do the miniature board game as well. That I am looking forward to. That's going to be huge on this channel, I think, for me, because I loved the latest God of War. I love the style. I love the Norse stuff. All the old stuff would be cool too. It just, there's a lot of potential there for some awesome miniatures. So anyway, that's kind of what I want to talk about here. Essentially, you know, he's leaving, and they listed some other stuff that's coming up, and so I kind of was able to talk about what I think is coming next, and kind of maybe the biggest one that they're going to be doing next. So I think Cyberpunk should be big too, but you know, they might botch it. Who knows? But Blood Rage is kind of a proven thing, so I know that'll be big, but I'm not super interested. Okay, I have only one other update, and that's for Chronicle X. Now, I know not a lot of you have backed it, but if you have, listen up. So, and in fact, even if you haven't, this might be interesting to you, just because it's kind of interesting to see how companies react to this sort of stuff, and then how people react to it as well. It's titled Sprue or Not to Sprue. Essentially, they've been making these XXL miniatures, right? These kind of bigger miniatures that are about, you know, about that big. And, they're about. And, they're behind. They're having problems getting their resin stuff. There's a shortage there. It takes a long time to build them. They've made it from this kind of resin to this HIPS kind of material that they're doing instead. But still the assembly takes a long time and whatnot. Plus they're, you know, doing other stuff for other companies even, and this, and their other, you know, games and stuff. So either way, it's taking a long time. So they're like, you know what? People have been saying, hey, it'd be nice to get these, now that they're on a sprue for the hips, it'd be nice just to get that, and then I can paint it and leave the arm off that covers the chest, so it's easier to paint and stuff like that. Some people even paint on the sprue, like crazy madmen. I've never done it, but I probably should have, especially inside of guns and stuff, right? Anyway, that is what some people are wanting. So they're like, you know what, if you want that, let us know, and we'll actually ship it out before we even make it, and it'll just be easy to do there. We just do that right off the press, and then we'll continue to build these other ones and then ship those out. The important part is that they actually, I think, did this a little wrong, in my opinion, but the default is sprue. So if they do not hear from you, you are getting it on the sprue unbuilt. So if you do not want to build your minis, or at least the XXL ones, which is, there's not a whole lot. So if you, unless you want to build those few miniatures and then put them into their storage spot, you need to let Archon know, because they're going to send you a sprue otherwise. So there's information here. I'll have a link down below in the description, of course. But that is something worthwhile noting, right? To be honest, I think a lot of it, I think it's fine to send it in sprue. I don't like the default, but I will gladly accept a sprue. I enjoy building, actually. It's kind of like adult Legos in my mind, so I just like building them and making the person. It does help with painting, and I could get it sooner, which is nice because I don't have to do as much with it. And as long as I have a place to store it in afterwards, I'm fine. Yes, and if Shadows of Brimstone or other games like that, or Kingdom Death that came on Spruce, if they offered a storage, that'd be awesome. I think that's great. So I'm okay with that. And for people saying that like, oh, well, it's not necessarily what you advertise. Well, they advertise a 2019 calendar, and I certainly hope you're not wanting a 2019 calendar. Stuff changes in Kickstarter, and I understand that, so I'm giving them a little leeway here. I don't think the default is correct, but I'm fine with them fundamentally shipping them on the sprue for those that are okay with it, or in fact find it desirable. I don't see anything wrong with that. Stuff happens on Kickstarter, and you adapt, and you just try to do the best for everybody that you can. So anyway. That's that. And really, that's, I think, all I had for today. I'm going to go ahead and edit this video and then try and get some sleep. But I will see you in the comments, I'm sure, tomorrow, which is here today. So hello, future people. Yeah, we'll see what's happening with CMON. Definitely there's some stuff brewing, right? They're definitely trying some big moves, and some big changes. What something like him leaving, and especially in the middle of this, I don't know. Like he said, it's a good time. We'll see. Anyway, that's it. That's all I had. I hope you had an awesome weekend. I hope you have an awesome week. I will be getting that Senkokushin video to you. I promise. I will be getting that Storm Thunder video to you guys. I promise. In fact, you might finally see a 3-video week. And if you do, you're welcome. I hope you enjoy it. Anyway, that's it. That's all I had. Again, there's tons of links down below, the Patreon, merch store, all that kind of stuff. It's a huge help. I realized I didn't do, again, scatterbrain, it's 2 a.m. I'm sorry. I didn't do my huge shout out and thanks to my patrons, but seriously, they help run this independent channel more than anything else. And with no sponsor, no ad revenue, nothing matches them. They are awesome, and they definitely help support me in amazing ways. So, in fact, you should probably be sitting a video upgrade here soon, because I'll be getting a new camera coming up here pretty soon. I'm going to start doing the research for it and upgrading my video, and that's all thanks to them. So huge shout out to patrons and YouTube members. Thank you so much. All right, that's it. Now I'm gone. I promise. Take care.